Good morning slash afternoon slash evening, everyone. Have you ever watched someone you care about struggle, knowing full well they're hurting, but when you ask if they're okay, they just shake their head and say, I'm fine? We've all been there. And maybe, just maybe, we've been that person too. Here's the truth. We live in a culture that rewards strength, confidence, and control. We tell people to tough it out, to man up, to push through. And yet, when we deny our struggles, we don't make them disappear, we just bury them. And anything we bury grows roots. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage. Um, When we refuse to acknowledge what's driving us crazy, what's weighing us down, we don't just deceive others, we deceive ourselves. But what if I told you that the strongest people aren't the ones who pretend they have it all together? They're the ones who have the guts to say, this is hard, I need help. Now, let's talk about shame and guilt, two emotions that shape how we deal with our struggles. Shame whispers, if you admit you're struggling, you're weak. But guilt, when we use it well, says, this isn't who I want to be, I can do better. Shame keeps us stuck, guilt moves us forward. And let's be real, society has made it especially hard for men to open up. From a young age, boys are taught to suppress, not express. They grow up believing that emotions equal weakness. And so they hold it in, they carry stress in their bodies, they turn frustration into silence, into anger, into exhaustion. But here's what's fascinating. The more we suppress, the more we struggle. So how do we break this cycle? We choose courage over comfort. We stop waiting for people to guess that we're struggling and we start using our words. We create spaces where people feel safe enough to say, I'm not okay, without fear of judgment. Brené Brown once said, vulnerability is the birthplace of connection, and I believe that. When we open up, we allow others to do the same. And when we stop pretending we're fine, we give ourselves permission to heal. So let me leave you with this. The things we refuse to admit don't disappear, they only fester. What we name, we can tame. What we own, we can change. And what we share, we can heal. Thank you. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. We're taught from an early age that showing emotions, admitting struggles, or asking for help is a sign of weakness. But in reality, vulnerability is the most accurate measure of courage. It takes far more strength to say, I don't have it all figured out, than to pretend we do. When we suppress our emotions, we don't get rid of them. We just push them deeper where they manifest in ways we don't always recognize: stress, frustration, detachment, or even physical exhaustion. We convince ourselves that if we ignore the struggle, it will disappear. But the truth is, avoiding vulnerability doesn't protect us. It isolates us. True strength comes from embracing discomfort. It's about having the courage to say, I'm struggling with this, and trusting that the right people will hear us with compassion, not judgment. Vulnerability is also the foundation of connection. When we open up, we invite others to do the same, breaking the cycle of silence and self-doubt. The irony is, the very thing we fear, being seen in our struggle, is what makes us more human, more relatable, and ultimately more resilient. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the bravest thing we can do. Shame and guilt are often used interchangeably, but they are fundamentally different emotions with vastly different effects on our well-being. Shame is the deeply held belief that something is wrong with who we are. It whispers, you're not good enough, you're a failure, you don't belong. It isolates us, making us feel unworthy of connection and incapable of change. Shame thrives in silence, convincing us that if people really knew us, they would reject us. Guilt, on the other hand, focuses on our actions rather than our identity. It tells us, I made a mistake, but I can fix it. I did something wrong, but I am not a bad person. Unlike shame, guilt can be productive. It pushes us toward growth, accountability, and change. When we confuse shame for guilt, we trap ourselves in self-judgment instead of self-improvement. The key to resilience is recognizing that mistakes and failures do not define us. By naming and confronting shame, we strip it of its power. And by embracing guilt in a healthy way, we allow ourselves to learn, make amends, and move forward without carrying the burden of unworthiness. The difference is life-changing. Emotional suppression is something many of us do without even realizing it. From a young age, we receive messages, both subtle and direct, that certain emotions are acceptable while others should be hidden. We're told to stay strong, shake it off, or stop overreacting. Over time, we internalize the idea that showing frustration, sadness, or fear is a sign of weakness. Instead of expressing these emotions, we bury them. But emotions don't just disappear when we ignore them. They linger beneath the surface, shaping our thoughts, behaviors, and even our physical health. Suppressed emotions can manifest as stress, anxiety, irritability, or burnout. They can affect our relationships, making us withdraw from others or lash out unexpectedly. Research shows that long-term emotional suppression is linked to higher risks of heart disease, weakened immune systems, and mental health struggles. The irony is that avoiding emotions doesn't protect us. It makes things worse. True resilience comes from acknowledging our emotions, not denying them. When we give ourselves permission to feel, we create space for healing. Emotional honesty is not about losing control. It's about understanding and processing our feelings in a healthy way so they don't control us. Society teaches us to wear masks, images of strength, confidence, and control that we present to the world. From an early age, we learn what is expected of us based on gender, culture, and social norms. Men, in particular, are often told to be strong, stoic, and unshakable. Women may feel pressure to be perfect, nurturing, and effortlessly composed. The message is clear: vulnerability is not welcome. But behind these masks, many people struggle in silence. They feel stress, doubt, and fear, but believe admitting it would make them seem weak or unworthy. The problem with wearing a mask for too long is that it creates distance, not just from others, but from ourselves. We begin to lose touch with our true emotions and needs, prioritizing how we are perceived over how we feel. Authenticity requires courage. It means challenging the idea that strength is about hiding struggle. Real connection happens when we remove the mask and show up as our true selves, imperfections and all. The irony is that the very thing we fear being seen in our struggles is what fosters deeper relationships, trust, and self-acceptance. The mask may protect us, but it also isolates us. Human connection is built on authenticity, and authenticity requires courage. Yet many of us hesitate to share our struggles because we fear judgment, rejection, or appearing weak. We convince ourselves that we should handle things alone, that our problems are ours to bear. But isolation, the irony is that the very thing we fear, opening up, is what strengthens our relationships. When we share our struggles, we invite others to do the same. We create a space where honesty is valued over perfection and where connection is built on truth rather than appearances. Studies show that people who express their emotions and seek support are not only mentally healthier, but also more resilient in the face of challenges. The strongest relationships are not formed through shared successes alone, but through moments of vulnerability, when we allow ourselves to be seen, heard, and supported. Connection is a two-way street. When we reach out, we give others permission to do the same. True courage is not about pretending we have it all together. It's about trusting that we don't have to navigate life alone. In connection, we find strength. Resilience is not about avoiding discomfort. It's about learning to navigate it with strength and self-awareness. Many people believe that pushing through struggles in silence makes them strong, but true resilience comes from facing challenges head-on and allowing ourselves to experience the emotions that come with them. When we suppress or ignore our struggles, They don't disappear. They build up and manifest in stress, anxiety, or even physical health issues. Building resilience starts with acknowledging that discomfort is a natural part of growth. It requires shifting our mindset from, I need to be strong by enduring this alone, to, I build strength by facing this openly. One of the most effective strategies is practicing self compassion, recognizing that struggling does not make us weak, but human. Resilience also comes from seeking support. Studies show that people who cultivate strong relationships and share their struggles recover from setbacks more effectively than those who isolate themselves. Developing resilience is not about avoiding failure or hardship, but learning how to rise after we fall. By embracing discomfort, processing emotions, and leaning on trusted relationships, we build the inner strength to face life's challenges with courage, adaptability, and grace. The truth is, we all struggle. We all have moments when stress, fear, or doubt weigh on us more than we like to admit. But what truly defines us is not how well we hide these struggles, it's how we face them. Strength is not found in silence or suppression, it's found in the courage to be honest, to connect, and to ask for support when we need it. When we reject shame, embrace vulnerability, and allow ourselves to be seen, we don't just lighten our own burdens, we give others permission to do the same. The weight we carry alone is heavy, but shared struggles become stepping stones to resilience, deeper relationships, and true self acceptance. So let's stop pretending that admitting hardship is weakness. Let's recognize that the bravest thing we can do is to be real, to speak up, and to support one another. Because at the end of the day, the things we refuse to admit don't disappear, they only hold us back. And when we face them together, we rise together. Thank you.